Rob Ross. So nice to meet you in person.
Thank you very much, Georgia, for having me. I appreciate it.
It's great to see you here, and you've got an incredible story that I'm very interested in having our audience hear from you directly about what happened to you. So just quickly for our audience, give me a little background in where you came from, involved in the tech industry. I know you've been a Bay Area local for 25 years. What were you doing as far as work?
So I started my career at Apple as an engineer. Then I've had several startups where I typically was VP of Business Development, and most of the companies either got acquired or IPO'd of varying degrees of success. And then about a year and a half ago, I looked at the blockchain and crypto market and started investing in a little bit and learned a little bit more and started making a little bit of money. And I was in it for about 4 or 5 months actually in terms of investing before I realized this is really volatile.
Was it not a safe space to invest in, or?
Well, when you say the word safe, that has a lot of different meanings. So
right.
Safe could mean, is it safe from a volatility standpoint or safe investment?
Fairly risky investment.
But it could also mean safe from a security standpoint.
Right.
Can your money get stolen?
That's what I'm very interested in knowing.
Yes, so I don't think I actually knew the depths of the insecurity and certainly some of the attack vectors, even though I had 2 digital security companies
wow.
that I was previously VP of Business Development for. And so what happened to me can happen to anyone.
So we're at RSA, it's early March 2019. Something happened to you in October of 2018, correct?
Yes, about 4 months ago. So 4 months ago, I was sitting at my desk at my home here in San Francisco, and I looked at my phone, this phone,
okay.
and I saw a withdrawal request notification.
Okay.
And I thought, that's odd, I hadn't made a withdrawal request.
Okay, and this was just from one of the bank accounts that you have?
It was from one of my financial institutions.
Right.
I looked up from my phone to my computer and I noticed that I was literally being logged out of my Gmail in real time.
Wow.
And then I looked back down on my phone, I clicked through my lock screen, and I saw that I had no service. Not just no bars, but no service.
So that's one of the first signs of what happened to you, which is called SIM fraud or a SIM crime.
Yes. Well, I put it all together because the combination of the withdrawal request, being logged out of Gmail, the no service, I had never heard of a fraudulent SIM swap. I call it a SIM crime
yes.
because there are millions of legitimate SIM swaps every day where if you buy a new phone and you have to get a new SIM card
out, put in the new one.
You put in the new one or you have to get the number changed.
I definitely want to learn more about what to do with your SIM cards and how to be safe and secure with your cell phone carriers and things like that. But what exactly was the crime that was committed with you? How much money did these people steal?
Well, first of all, they stole $1 million from me.
Wow.
And it was the majority of my life savings, for real. I have a 16-year-old daughter going to college in a year and a half from now. Mm-hmm. This really impacts my ability to pay her tuition in a big way.
The whole family was affected, your whole life.
Yes, my whole family, my whole life. What happened specifically is the hackers, and I found out some of this since the hack, what happened specifically is they get the SIM swap done, which essentially takes over your phone number. So any text messages or calls that would normally go to your phone now go to the hacker's phone.
Okay.
Including text verification codes.
For banks,
for any
Gmail,
Dropbox. They ended up taking over my Google, my Gmail. They took over my Dropbox. They also were able to take over my 2-factor authentication app called Authy.
I was just going to say, 2-factor authentication is supposed to prevent that. You're supposed to be in physical ownership of your physical device. You get the text message with the code, and that's the second authentication factor.
Yes, so there are settings within the 2FA apps, like Google Authenticator and Authy, that if they're either not set up a certain way, those can be taken over again. And not only that, for Authy, Authy shows me and the hacker all the other accounts that I use Authy on. So he was able to actually see, or they were able to actually see, all the different accounts that I was using Authy for.
How did they get this information? I mean, what kind of social engineering and hacking went into this crime?
Well, the SIM swaps, what I've learned, typically are done one of a few different ways. Sometimes it's social engineering, where they sort of trick the customer service rep at a carrier, AT&T or Verizon, into doing the SIM swap. And they might do that because maybe the customer even has a verbal password or verbal PIN, but they might say something like, oh, I'm running late for a flight, please. But even beyond that, the hackers often have all of your basic information because of the Yahoo hack, the Equifax hack, the Marriott hack. And what they're able to do is they're able to get enough of a profile, and they research it all ahead of time. They're able to get enough of a profile about you to be able to either convince the customer service rep
that you are that person.
That they are that person.
Okay.
And do the SIM swap. Or a lot of times the hackers have the employee directories of the 4 major carriers here. And it's not just here. It's Vodafone, it's in Europe, it's in New Zealand, everywhere. And what they do is they actually reach out to those employees, maybe over Facebook Messenger, and some of the customer service people, they might be making just a few dollars a day in a call center in another country. And the hacker will offer them $500, which might be,
It's a lot of money for someone like that. Yeah.
Exactly. And just for a little bit of information, maybe what the verbal password is, maybe what a user ID and password is to log into the portal. But it's enough to be able to do the SIM swap, and sometimes then they'll have someone else do the actual SIM swap, or they might do it where they call AT&T, or sometimes what they do is go into the store, literally maybe with a fake ID, and say, I'm Georgia Reed, and I got a new phone and I need to change the SIM number in my account to work with my cell phone.
Now, you have a resource for the general public to learn about this. It's called StopSIMCrime.org, right?
Yes, so this happened to me. I lost $1 million, and I realized very quickly there isn't a central resource on the web or anywhere of where to go, what to do. I had to figure it out, and I did it very quickly. I still don't have my money back.
Really?
Really. But what I realized is there needs to be an organization, I believe, and so I started StopSIMCrime.org for 3 reasons. One is to raise awareness about the entire realm of SIM crimes. How does SIM crimes work? What are they? How can you protect yourself against them? Then the second goal of StopSIMCrime.org is to serve as a victim resource and advocate. So as an example, besides the emotional toll that it sometimes takes, a lot of victims, they want to be able to track their money, especially if it's cryptocurrency. And so we're working with other very, very smart people that can sometimes help track the money. Even though the law enforcement is often tracking the money, they have way too many cases to be able to track everybody.
It's just not expedited, really.
There's thousands and thousands of cases. They're definitely doing it for the more significant loss of victims that have lost the most amount of money, but they're also not sharing it, unfortunately, with the victims. So when we go to seek restitution, we have to do that on our own. So first is to raise awareness, second is a victim resource, and third is to effect change, to stop this from happening with the carriers.
Sure. Some sort of incentive for the customer service reps to not get involved with that kind of nefarious activity.
Well, an incentive for the carriers themselves. This is across the carriers, and high on up. This isn't a minor problem with a handful of customer service bad apples. There are technical and administrative solutions that the carriers have not put in place. And they need to do this because we are all at risk.
This is really interesting stuff. We're going to write more about this in the editorial piece at cybercrimemagazine.com and tell your story. Before we go, I wanted to ask, when this happened to you, who did you report it to?
So immediately, first of all, I went to the Apple store to get a new SIM card.
Okay.
Then I spent a few hours on the phone with AT&T.
Okay.
And then within about 12 hours, I got in touch with the REACT law enforcement agency in San Jose. I also got in touch with the FBI within a couple of days, and the REACT law enforcement agency, which is a California-based cybercrime unit, arrested the main hacker 3 weeks later.
Okay, so they found him.
They found him. He's one of a few, though, because there might be one person that does the SIM swap and then one other person that's doing the Gmail. They kind of swarm in because they know they have to get in and out. The entire crime took 20 minutes to steal my life savings.
But did they steal anything else that you know of?
Well, in addition to that, they took control of my Dropbox, which had picture-perfect copies of my driver's license, my birth certificate, and my passport, and the same documents for my 16-year-old daughter. There are a lot of people that get SIM swapped and they think, oh, I didn't have a financial loss, and they don't think about all of the things they're storing in their cloud accounts.
So many different assets.
Yes.
This is a very serious risk area, so I really appreciate you telling the story.